looking at some really tense stuff happening in the Middle East today. Basically, the U.S. is saying that Iran is about to launch a ballistic missile attack on Israel. They're even using the word imminent, and that's not something you hear every day, is it?
No, no, not at all. You hit the nail on the head when you say imminent. That word carries a lot of weight in these situations. It means that U.S. intelligence is pretty darn sure this is happening. It's not just a bluff or some kind of, political posturing.
So this isn't just about, like, typical international disagreements. We're talking about a potential powder keg about to blow. To really understand this, though, I think we need to look at the bigger picture of the relationship between Israel and Iran.
Absolutely. I mean, these two countries have been engaged in what some folks call a shadow war for decades now.
Right.
Proxy conflicts, cyber attacks, that's been their main way of going at it. But a direct missile attack, that completely changes the game. We're talking about a massive escalation.
It does feel like, flipping a switch from covert to overt, right? From whispers of conflict to a potential explosion. So help us understand this. What are the potential consequences if this attack actually happens?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And unfortunately, there's no easy answer. That Pinch News article we saw, it mentioned that the scale of the attack is still unclear. And that just throws another wrench into the whole thing.
Okay, so uncertainty on top of an already tense situation. Got it.
Exactly. But even if we're talking about a smaller scale attack, it could still easily spiral out of control. It could trigger responses and counter-responses, and before you know it, you've got a much larger conflict on your hands, maybe even dragging in global superpowers. And nobody wants to see that.
No, absolutely not. And as if this potential missile attack wasn't enough to worry about, there's another development unfolding at the same time that we need to unpack: Israel's ground offensive in Lebanon.
Yeah, you got to see these things as connected, right? They're not happening in isolation. And that connection is key to understanding just how serious all of this really is.
Yeah.
You're spot on about that connection. It's like, while Iran might be getting ready to launch this missile, Israel is already making moves on the ground in Lebanon. And this is where things get even more interesting, because their target is Hezbollah.
Okay, so Hezbollah, for those of us who haven't been glued to the news on this particular conflict, can you bring us up to speed on their role in all of this?
Of course. So Hezbollah, they're a pretty big deal. I mean, they're a major political party and a powerful militant group. They're based in Lebanon, but, and this is important, they're backed by Iran. So Israel sees them as a direct threat. And they've been clashing for decades, really.
Right. And Pinch News, the article we're looking at today, mentioned all that rocket fire from Lebanon into Israel since last October. That wasn't random, was it? That was Hezbollah targeting Israel.
Exactly. And Israel's ground offensive right now, that's their direct response to those attacks. They're calling them localized raids. But let's be real, we're talking about troops on the ground, crossing borders. That's a serious move in its own right, no matter what you call it.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like every time we turn around, the stakes get even higher. On one hand, you've got this potential missile attack, and on the other, you've got an active ground offensive. And both sides, well, they've got some serious history. It feels like things could spiral out of control pretty easily at this point.
It's definitely a dangerous situation. Because this isn't just about two countries going head to head. This is about decades of really deep, really complex geopolitical tensions that are finally boiling over. And you can't forget about the historical context here either. I mean, the Israeli-Lebanese conflict, it goes all the way back to the 1980s with wars and skirmishes and this constant tension along their border.
And this is where I think it's easy to get lost in all the details. We're talking about a ground offensive, but what does that actually mean? There are real people caught in the middle of this, families, communities. This isn't just some kind of abstract geopolitical chess match. It's about human lives.
You are so right to bring that up. It's really easy to get caught up in the military stuff, the political back and forth. But at the end of the day, this is about human beings just trying to survive in a really scary, really dangerous situation.
It's easy to forget that sometimes. It's true. It's like we can't forget about the human cost of all this.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the headlines and forget that there are communities, families, real people who are living through this right now.
Exactly. So, okay, let's zoom out a little bit. Look at the bigger picture here. How do you see this situation playing out? What are the possibilities?
Well, one very real possibility is that this escalates into a much wider conflict. Like, imagine if Israel continues their operations in Lebanon and Hezbollah, maybe with even more support from Iran, decides to really up their attacks on Israel.
And then we're talking about a whole other level of conflict.
Right, exactly. And then you've got Iran potentially getting pulled in even more directly. It's not hard to imagine how that could spiral. And then, of course, you have to consider the international community.
Yeah, how other countries might react to all of this, or maybe even choose not to react.
Precisely. You can't just ignore the global players here. I mean, the U.S., for example, they're a major ally of Israel. Russia has ties to both Iran and Israel. So how these countries decide to act or not act is going to have a huge impact on how this whole thing unfolds.
Man, it's like we're watching this powder keg, just waiting for a spark.
That's a good way to put it. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and things could really get out of hand.
Which is exactly why I think, having these conversations, trying to understand these situations, it's so important.
Absolutely. I mean,
Right.
we can't predict the future,
Hmm.
but when we understand the history, the motivations, all the different factors at play, it helps us make sense of what's happening. And that's the first step to even thinking about solutions, right?
Right. So where do we go from here? What happens next?
Well, if I had a crystal ball, I'd tell you.
Hmm.
But honestly, the next few days, the next few weeks, they're going to be crucial.
So stay tuned, basically.
Stay tuned, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged. Keep asking the tough questions.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of staying engaged, I want to thank you, our listeners, for joining us for this, well, pretty intense deep dive today. We covered a lot of ground. But I keep thinking about that saying, knowledge is power, right? The more we understand about what's going on in the world, the better equipped we are to make informed decisions, even if it's just about how we process all of this information.
Well said. And remember, even in the face of all this, these seemingly impossible situations, we can't lose sight of hope. We can't stop working towards a more peaceful future.
That's a great note to end on. So until next time, everyone, stay curious, stay informed, and let's all try to be a little more engaged, a little more compassionate in this wild world we live in.